Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool truck repair video for you today. Usually we do arcade game videos, pinball machine videos, but as I was driving home last night, my truck started acting up. So basically the alternator, you know, you call it the ammeter, was going low and then high and low and high. Kind of crazy. So my thoughts were the voltage regulator must be going out. And on a Chevy of this year, or anywhere near this year, it's got the voltage regulator inside the alternator. So usually what you do is you just swap the alternator. But I thought, since it's going low and it's going high, it's pretty much got to be the regulator, right? You'd think. So I drove it back to work today, and it didn't go high much, but it stayed low most of the time, which is basically means you're just driving on your battery. But I made it to work, and so now I've got the I stopped by the parts store, got the voltage regulator, and I'm going to take the alternator off and see if it's how easy it is to swap that voltage regulator. And so we'll check it out. So I'm going to play first a video that I filmed real quick while I was driving up here of it tripping, and then I'll show you what happened at the parts store, and then we'll come back and talk about the alternator a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that needle, but basically it's sometimes it'll go real low, sometimes it'll go even high. Last night when I was driving home, it got up to, you know, maybe around 16 volts according to the needle. Now I don't know if it's actually doing that, but the lights were moving with the needle, so I think it was. So basically, usually it's low like it is now, but sometimes it goes up really high, which is dangerous. I'm afraid it's going to burn up my AC unit if I turn it on or anything like that. So I'm trying to get to the parts store before it fries something, but normally it just stays low like that, so I think I'll be all right for a little bit longer. I've got about 3 miles of driving left to do, and I'll be at my shop where I can actually work on it. So since it's going low and high, I believe it's just the voltage regulator. I don't think it's the entire alternator, because the alternator's only a couple of years old. Might not even be that old. So I think it's just the voltage regulator. So I'm just, for giggles, I'm going to try swapping just the voltage regulator. So I made it to the parts store, and I'm parked right next to John Wayne. So I like O'Reilly. You can go to your favorite parts store, obviously, but I think they sell just the voltage regulator that goes inside the alternator. So I'm going to try to buy just that. And if that doesn't fix it, I'll drive back and buy the alternator. Now, of course, the risk of driving it like this is it's going to kill your battery, because you're driving on your battery. But I'm right down the street from my shop, so if I can get the truck started again, I think I can get over there and get working on it. And I've got a battery charger there and stuff. Okay, so on mine, the alternator is right up here on the front, very easy to get to. I'm going to, after I got it home this morning before I left, I unplugged the little wires here on the side. I believe one of those excites it, so it turns on the voltage regulator, and then one of them is for the ammeter, or voltmeter, whatever it is on the dash. So I tried unplugging it and replugging it just to make sure it wasn't a bad connection. Everything looks good, and then I drove to work and it was still acting up. So I think the voltage regulator, which is what this plugs into, inside the alternator is bad. So I'm going to take the alternator off, take it inside, and we'll check it out and see what's going on. If I can't fix it with the voltage regulator, I'll just have to get a new alternator. So you've probably taken one of these off before if you're watching this video, but if not, there's just a little plug that goes here that unplugs. There's one wire that goes here, and then the way it's grounded is through this big huge bracket. So there's a big bolt that goes through here and goes into the head of the 350. And then there's a little bolt up here that goes on the bracket. So basically the bracket goes in front of it and the bolt goes through here to hold it. And then that's the one that you can move by twisting this. Move this out to make your belt tighter. So the way I'm going to open her up is through the time-honored tradition of taking screws out until the thing comes apart. So I think I have to take this bracket off first, and then it looks like there's 4 little screws on each corner, so we'll take that apart. It looks to me like the voltage regulator is screwed in right there, but of course from the inside. So I'll take the bracket off and take those bolts out, and we'll see what we got. So I took the back off, and when I did, here's what we got inside, and it looks like that's the voltage regulator that I've got. So we're going to check that out. The hard part is going to be getting that spring-loaded brush back in there. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do that, but I'll figure out something, I'm sure. There's got to be a trick to it. Maybe you're supposed to do it the other way or something. Maybe you're supposed to take the pulley off and do it that way. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So here's the part that I got, which is an exact match, it looks like, to that part down under there, underneath this where the brush is. And it was, I saw about the only one they had in stock was standard brand, which is, where did I see that? This thing was $33. Standard Motor Products Incorporated, Northern Boulevard, Long Island City, New York. But look at this. That's the only one they had. What would John Wayne think? So here's the old one. It looks perfectly fine, but who knows? I guess there's a bunch of stuff inside of it. Here's my new one. We're going to swap it in and see if that fixes it. I have to put the brushes back in with their springs and everything. There's a spring in there that holds them in place, and then I have to figure out a way to get them to where like if they stick out too far, this won't slide down. But it looks like, since the lip's smooth, I guess if I get them pushed in, and once I get them past there, they'll be all right. So we'll mess with it and see what happens. But we'll go ahead and try to put it back in and see if we can get it all back buttoned up how it's supposed to be. Okay, so I got it in there, and I got the brush thing screwed back on, and then I figured out a trick. So there's these 2 little springs, and the brushes have to go in there. And the brushes come out, and the springs push them up against this. This is upside down, obviously. Push the brushes up against that. So the problem is, if I'm going to put that back down in there, the brushes will stick out because they're on a spring, and how do you get them to hold back out of the way while you put it in? They designed this little, if you look real close in that white thing that the brushes go in, right there is a little hole, and it goes all the way through. And so what you can do, and what I did, was you take a little Allen wrench and you stick it through that hole in the bottom. You get the spring and the brush behind it, and you stick it up through it, all the way through it, and it holds the brushes back out of the way. Whoop, I wish it was a little brighter. Let's see if I can shine a light on it. Yes, yes. So the Allen wrench is sticking all the way through the hole in the bottom and everything, and holding both of the brushes back. So after I put I can't remember if it's the rotor or the stator, right? After I put it back in place, I can simply pull that Allen wrench out of the bottom, and now the brushes will go forward and touch what it's supposed to touch. So I'm gonna put it back together, and let's see if that's as easy as it seems. Okay, so I screwed it back together. You got to get it, make sure you got it lined up right to make sure that everything's exactly in the same, because you can do it in all 4 ways. Make sure it's in the same position it was. And then I'm going to pull this out. Let's hear if we can hear the brushes click into place. There's one of them. There's the second one. Can't really see it, so we'll just have to assume that that they did. Okay, so I'm going to put the bracket back on it, and we'll put it back on the car, the truck. Just for comparison, here's the 2 alternators for that truck. So a rebuilt Ultima 78 is $78. That's the one to keep in the store. A rebuilt Best Test is $56 or $57, and they have to order that one. And then the Voltage Regulator, they have a Master Pro. They were $20, but they had to order that one. And then they had the standard ignition one in stock for $34, but it's made in China. Okay, so I mounted it back in. The only thing I noticed different was this plug on the side doesn't go on there quite as easy as before. It's because I don't think it's that thing that I mounted is perfectly centered. It's a little bit lower, so I don't know. I got it in there the best I could, so hopefully it's not touching something it shouldn't. But the plug does go on it. So I put the plug on, put the wire back on the back, tensioned the belt back up, bolted the 2 bolts back in, and then I put the hot wire back on the battery. I don't know why they did the battery like it. This truck was like this when I got it. Look, they put a side post. I guess I could change it pretty easy, couldn't I? Maybe I ought to swap that one of these days. Look, it just goes to the bracket on the alternator, and then this little one goes over here to the firewall. All right, so we got it on. I'm gonna start it up, and we'll see if the truck blows up. All right, so we're sitting here with the ignition on. I'm going to start it up. It's got a loud exhaust leak right underneath the driver's door, so it might be too loud for you, but we'll see what happens. All right. Boy, I like that. So it's a little high right now, but that's going to be because the battery's drained a little bit, because you saw I was driving around with a dead battery. So unless it starts doing what it was doing again, I think maybe we're good. Let me turn the air on and see what that does. Now we're just sitting here idling, so you know. Yeah, we're good, man. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. Yep, so you get the idle up a little bit, it charges a little more. I think we're good. All right, so there you go. That's how you can replace just the voltage regulator without replacing the entire alternator. So, but you might want to, if you're going to, you know, I didn't really have any choice. I was stuck where I could just go by the parts place, and I kind of needed to do it right now because this is the vehicle I'm driving. But if you got time, you might want to check at Napa. They've probably got the AC Delco one, or you may be able to order the AC Delco one, or if there even is an AC Delco one, you might be able to order an American-made one somewhere. Or you might not. Isn't that the way things go? So leave your comments below. Hope this helps you if you're trying to fix your alternator instead of just continuously replacing the damn thing. And if you like arcade game videos, check out our channel. We got a whole bunch of them. Leave your comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film all this for you. And I hope you enjoyed the video.